Hey, what is good, people? This is episode 66. This is Sports Debate Tuesday, and the episode starts right now. I was trying to rehearse that song. There's a song called Route 66. And for some reason, as talented as I'd like to think I am, I just couldn't grasp it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do the drums, black guys help the white guys thing. Nope, can't do it. But this is episode 66. That's why I brought up Route 66. I am Jason DeBeas, along with my man Rob. Keep it. McLean. What's good, man?
Just chilling, brother. Just got back from work.
Yep. Yeah,
Ready
man.
to do some pods.
Getting some training and right, making developing these young bright minds and revamping
Right.
some of these adult minds, taking some of these adult people and be like, hey, you might want to try this.
Try this.
Well, not a lot of volleyball. We ain't gonna talk about volleyball this weekend though. I might address it at the end before we go. Got a new lightweight champion, my man Charles DeBronx Oliveira. Man, we got NFL training camp, and every time there's a training camp, and every time, I don't know, Tim Tebow takes a knee or takes a dump, we all got to know. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But first things first. NBA season's finished. I believe every single team played on Sunday. Oh, like all 32 teams play, or 30 teams
Wow.
played on over the weekend. The Nets secured their two spot. The Lakers and the Warriors wind up as a 7-8. So before I give the floor to Rob, just gonna brief you guys a brief synopsis on how this whole playoff thing's supposed to work. So basically, play in, which LeBron James said he absolutely hates, it works like this: the seventh place team plays the eighth place team. The ninth place team plays the 10th place team. Now, between 7 and 8, whoever wins goes into the playoffs as a 7th seed. Everybody with me so far? And the loser of that 7 and 8 has to play the winner of the ninth and 10th place seed. And the winner of that goes into the playoffs as the 8th seed. And in case I confuse the hell out of you, this is a picture. This is how it works. Blow it up if you got it. I'll blow up the left. That's how that works, Robbie. All right. So for our brief, maybe not so brief. Well, I guess we'll just play it by ear or by mouth. We're gonna pick winners. All right, Rob. We got. Let's start with Tuesday night's games. The ninth seed Indiana Pacers against the Charlotte Hornets. 9 versus 10. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I got Charlotte in this. I like the way they play. I think they're playing good ball. So
I got to go with Charlotte. I'm going with Charlotte. Boston Celtics against the Washington Wizards. What an exciting 7 versus 8.
it really is. And I think this is probably the best playoff game there is out there, and probably the best playoff playing team out there in the Washington Wizards. I think the Wizards are going to win this game because they are that type of team who just wins games. If they decide this is the game they want to play, this is the game they're going to win. So I definitely like them for this one game playing.
Boston's reeling right now. You know, and a lot of people who are jumping the gun are kind of like looking at Brad Stevens' job, and I don't no freaking way. This guy's been to the conference finals 3 out of 4 years. You got injuries. You got his whole team got racked by COVID. Really, he only had Tatum, if that. And you can't even name me more than one All-Star on that team, and there he is in the conference finals every year. I ain't even prepared to talk about Brad Stevens' job, though I will acknowledge that the skeptics are looking. Now, with that being said, I got to go with Washington. Russell Westbrook in the beginning and the middle of the season really looked like he was just padding his stats and chasing records. And then people are like, oh, you know, at this point, I guess he doesn't care about wins and losses. I mean, he's just chasing whatever. But the man has an emotional investment in, I don't know, in winning. At the end of the day, you know, he gets all these numbers and it feels good. But he's like, after a while, when you start losing some of these games, Rob, it's like, No, I gotta win, and I think something popped somewhere in the middle of the end of the season where he's like, "Let's make a playoff run," and he's very,
You
very
know,
unselfish. I know the numbers look selfish, but if you look at the number of assists double the rebounds, and and rival the points. Do
right?
something, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he necessarily changed when he decided to get more triple doubles, because that does involve the team more. That does take some pressure off your other teammates by getting those rebounds. But he's becoming more of a team player, and it happens, season through season. I think it's honestly most when he's scrutinized on his play, and I honestly believe that Russell Westbrook um, does hear the narratives that surround him. He does adjust to those narratives, and they do make him a better player. I don't think those stick through and through the seasons. But yeah, I think he's heard, what people say, that team's not winning. It's because of him, and he wants to do his best to make that team win. And maybe that wasn't his focus at that time. So it's kind of revamped him. And yeah, they're a dangerous team. Maybe not for a 7-game series, but they're a dangerous team, especially in this play-in. Like, no doubt about it.
Well, if they win, they're going to play the Nets, and there's always, I mean, if the media is always looking for some kind of storyline, they got plenty,
They
plenty to
got
go on there
plenty right
with
there.
Durant, and and
And
he also
Bradley
played,
Beal. Bradley Beal almost left
yeah,
the Wizards via trade to go to the Nets.
yeah.
So there's a
Harden, of
lot of
course. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
if you remember him, Harden and Durant were all of the Oklahoma City Thunder. That was
right,
I believe that
right.
was the only finals the three of them made. That was the only finals the three of them had made. So,
Well, besides Durant going to Golden State.
yeah, yeah. That's right. I'm not gonna talk about Durant. That dude's like candy man. Even assuming someone, a friend of a friend of a friend, even listens to this podcast. I don't want that dude tweeting me. I'd have to hit him with a baseball bat. I'd have to get to him first. Some 6'11" dude looking for me. Nope. I ain't fighting you fair. Right? Come see me, sure. Yankee hat, Yankee Stadium. Um, so, with that being said, if we both agree that Washington wins, they're probably going to play the Nets, and that means Boston's probably going to play the Hornets. I think Boston gets in as the 8. And your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. I think they just they have too much experience. They've also rested their players, obviously, the last game or two. So their players, their starters will be fresh. And if they don't get in, they could very easily beat the Washington Wizards, and then the Wizards, I could see them beating the Hornets, or the Hornets making it over the Wizards. So nothing against Indiana. I think those three teams are maybe just a step above in this at this time of the year. So,
but what an exciting one game, Boston and Washington. I mean,
yeah,
for us
that's
to
great.
call that the most exciting playing game is competitively disagreeable to some of what I'm about to say next, because we're going to the West. We got the 7th seed Lakers playing the 8th seed Golden State Warriors. Um, this is crazy
The barn
because
burner.
this is going to make quick questions so much fun. Lakers, Golden State, who you got?
I mean, honestly, again, it really depends on who's coming back. If it's both LeBron and Anthony Davis, I could say that they'll win. But honestly, there's so much questions surrounding the Lakers on not only who's going to win the game, like how long is LeBron going to be able to play? How long is AD going to be able to play? How long are they going to be able to be on the court together? And is that going to affect the rotations around the other players? Because they've finally started to, they were doing very well, honestly, without those two superstars. And then Anthony Davis came back, took a game or two to kind of make that adjustment. So, still getting everybody under that same chemistry of a championship team while trying to worry about winning right now, because it's not necessarily just even if we lose this game, we got a couple more. It's like, no, to lose this game, we might be out of the playoffs if we lose one more. So, and not to mention they have to play more if they lose this next game. So I just think it's there's a lot of pressure in that arena, and Steph Curry lives in that pressure and that tough can't win shot. So yeah, I think it's just such an intriguing game. I don't think the Golden State Warriors have enough to beat the Lakers if they're all guns firing. But Steph Curry's been on a rampage recently. So if the Lakers cannot put it together, the Golden State Warriors will win this game. I guarantee that. And that's what I'm shooting for. So that's what I'm going to say. I think the Golden State Warriors are just going to play good team basketball and just outplay, a reeling Lakers team.
So you picking the Warriors?
I am.
All right. I think I got to go with you. I think Steph Curry's playing his best basketball at the right time. I mean, too bad for Bradley Beal for only putting up 25 points to compete for the scoring title. This dude put up 49 to take the scoring title from him. So now he finishes the season at 32 points per game. And we know that even when he's not on, he's still dangerous. But I've been watching the last few games of the Golden State Warriors, and this dude is on. And I know there's certain people, right? Like in volleyball, right? Never bet against Curry. Football, never bet against Brady. And in basketball, I always like to say never bet against LeBron because every time he's healthy, he's made a finals what seems like the last 100 years. With that being said, what the hell do you do against a guy that as soon as he steps past half court, he's a problem? What do you do against a guy like when he's doing his shoot around in practice, the guy hits 105 straight 3-pointers? I mean, uncontested this and that, but that is the level of dedication and practice and him just getting it in. And if it's a one night only thing, and I got to be true to my conviction, I've always said this. If it's a one night only thing, I go with Curry. If this is 4 out of 7, I'll go with the Lakers because they got really, really good coaching and they got enough time to figure it out. And like you said, the absence of LeBron and AD has upped their defensive prowess to a point where they know how to play defense and they know how to shut teams down and how to get back on transition. They look like a real professional basketball team. That's how they're supposed to look. So, but you're asking me to pick one. I got to pick Golden State. Memphis, San Antonio. Who you got? I'll go first on this one. Memphis, Ja's playing really good basketball, and nobody knows the Spurs better than that guy. I'm just quick pick. I'm gonna go Memphis. So who you got? Memphis, San Antonio.
I'm gonna have to go with San Antonio. I just think they play really good team basketball, and I love what Memphis does, but unfortunately, their team should be so much more centric around Ja Morant, and they don't want to. I guess they don't want to put too much on him, and they don't want to stunt his development. But man, they need to give him the ball and make him just make plays because every time he does, the team looks totally different. Like he's on a whole nother gear than everybody else. But as soon as he's playing off the ball, or he's got to be a primary defender on their primary ball handler. Even though he's capable of doing those, that team needs offense. That team needs to score the basketball. That team needs to run out in front of people. So I just think they're just utilizing him wrong. And as good as he is, honestly, he is unbelievable, like point guard of the future type player. But as good as he is, if you're not used the right way, oh my gosh,
Jeez.
Like he's dunking over everybody, but he's got best skills. He could shoot from anywhere. It just I just think they're not playing the game the way you're going to be able to beat teams nowadays. So right. I'm going to have to go with the Spurs. They just do it better than Memphis tries to do it, and yeah.
So by that rationale, do we pick the Lakers to beat either Spurs or Grizzlies in that second playing game?
Yeah, I mean they just got too much, So no matter what, the Lakers are rolling in to the playoffs, and to be honest, if they take the 8th seed and they play, the Jazz first, and they take the 1 seed, they're back on top. So
they're back in the catbird seat, as they say.
In reality, they take out the toughest team in the beginning of the playoffs, and then you have an easier road to face probably the toughest team in the playoffs in the finals, which is going to be either the Nets or the Bucks or the 76ers at full health. So,
nah, for sure. Cool, man. Hey, so topic 2. UFC. My dude, we got a new lightweight champion. Finally, the title is no longer vacant. And for me, it was always Dustin Poirier until someone became the real champ. I've always, or who's this cat? Justin Gaethje. But now we have a true, legit, no interim title, no gatekeeper, no vacant title. Charles the Bronx Oliveira is now the new lightweight champion, and what we still remain aptly named the most competitive division in the UFC. They are absolute savages from 15 all the way up to the one. So he got knocked down, and he recovered. When I saw him get knocked down, I was like, that's it. Everything Chandler said was real. And then it's weird. He got knocked down, and Chandler took a swing, and on the ground, dodge. He took a swing, duck. I'm like, Chandler's trying to ground and pound him, and he's ducking ground and pound, and he's so aware. So one of my favorite fights of the night, because both fighters showed that they were worthy. I guess I'm going to go first on this one. Both fighters showed that they were worthy. They like, he almost finished him, Chandler. Chandler was in a terrible position, as far as having his back against the best submission artist in the UFC, definitely 155, and got out of it. And then Charles survived that first round, and then came out a completely different fighter the second round. He just looked crisp. He looked sharp. And then when he caught him, I was like, oh, whoa, my goodness. So, Rob, I'm going to give you the floor, but I'm also going to, how should I say, melt in the actual debate question. Rob, what is next for the 150-pound title picture? You could talk about the fight a little bit, but I'm gonna give you the floor. But that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Oliveira, man, that's my favorite. This because the reason why is because I feel like he is the epitome of what a modern fighter is going to be. Fight in all areas of the floor, all areas of the octagon. Can do anything, is not winded, not talking about cardio, not talking about, ability to defend takedowns, able to succeed on his feet. I still haven't really seen him throw kicks, which is pretty crazy, but
except them leg kicks.
Oof. But I mean, still, he's got fantastic hands, great movement. I think he's a little stiff on his feet, but again, this is like the American or the Brazilian way of American wrestlers taking over, right? Where if your jiu-jitsu is so good, you can be aggressive on your back. You can be aggressive on top. You can, if you're real, and he's one of the only jiu-jitsu guys that I really see that aggressively uses their jiu-jitsu to make either the position better for them or to put some fear into that person to where they're not really expecting ground and pound, where he can sneak an elbow in and really do damage instead of just trying to, punch through it and elbow through and try to sneak through with, some elbows. He's using some submission and a little bit of ground and pound, and that's some of the most
he's got
dangerous.
a chin. He showed us he has a chin too.
He really does. I mean, and that's one of the things I always say with the fighter. Sometimes if you watch the whole fight, sometimes people watch just the highlights of the finish, but if you watch the whole fight, a lot of times, you really don't know who's going to win. When you know who's already won the fight, you have this, this aura of like, okay, it's going to be okay. I know he's got to get up because I know how the fight finishes. But when you don't know, when you're watching that fight last night, you didn't know Oliveira was going to get up from that. You thought, he might have come out in the second round a little woozy, a little like tentative. No, he came out with his hands up. He pieced him with a left hook. He threw a right hand left hook, and he was, in Chandler's distance.
Yes.
He wasn't catching him at the end of his punch. He hit him from close. So he was trying to stay in there, and he was ready to fight. So Oliveira, man, I mean, I still would even like to see a little bit more jiu-jitsu. If you're that effective against Chandler, even if he spun out of it and got out. I would love to have seen him, go on the ground a little bit more, but that fight ended so quickly. It was, tough to see what's next. But man, Oliveira, talking about what's next. I mean, I would love to see him fight, a Justin Gaethje. I think Poirier versus McGregor, either one of those guys is going to be a fantastic fight. This is why I love Oliveira, because not only is he an amazing matchup against all players, maybe he doesn't have a weakness. It's going to make for a fantastic matchup against really high-level fighters. Maybe he doesn't have that knockout power like a Conor or, the real boxing, aptitude of a Dustin, but he mixes so much with it that his jujitsu is so good that you have to protect you have to protect that. Then your stand up gets better. It's kind of like Khabib. He might not have had the best stand up, but you had to protect for the takedown so badly that his stand up was lightning quick. Because you're not thinking about that. So Oliveira, man, super excited. I really hope this is the start of a long championship run. I think he's like what Tony Ferguson should have been. If he got into it a little earlier and really stayed dedicated to submitting and knocking people out, like I think Oliveira is. He's just got that taste for blood, and he's ready to finish fights. So if he keeps that up, I think Oliveira could be a long-time champion. And I really don't see anybody taking him out unless it's maybe a Conor or some sort of a kickboxer that's able to take advantage of his stiff stand-up. But other than that, man, he is unbelievable offensively. Unbelievable.
Who do you like next? If you had to pick one guy,
I mean, I want
who do you want? I mean, forget about what Dana wants.
For him?
Forget about these guys hollering, no, big fights, big fights, big fights. And like kill the UFC in the division.
Khabib to come back. I feel like this would be a matchup for Khabib. But if you're going to talk about real fights, I think Gaethje. I think that would be probably my favorite fight. To see if he's able to survive on the ground with a superior jiu-jitsu artist, and obviously he's going to be able to bang on the feet. But Oliveira, man, sneaky power, man. He doesn't use his length as well as he could, but he's got some sneaky power, man.
Yeah,
I like that next. And then Dustin or Conor. I think either one of those is going to be a fantastic fight against Oliveira.
All right, for me, here's the thing. If Dustin beats Conor, I like Dustin. If Conor wins, I like Gaethje. And I sound like the biggest player hater trying to exit Conor out of the championship picture, but I really had this huge issue that people synonymize, which is not a word, but put together big fights with the belt. If it's not a big fight unless the belt's on the line. And clearly, I know correlation is not causation, but if you look at all of the top selling pay-per-views, how many of those were actually title fights, right? Like Conor against Nate Diaz was not a title fight. The second one was not a title fight. Him and Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone's now, I mean, he's had a little money, but he's a millionaire now. And Conor remains the highest paid athlete just from fighting twice, him and Dustin. None of those were title fights, right? So it's not like you have to give it to the guy who's not even, I'm just going to say it, who's not even deserving of a title shot. Conor is not deserving of a title shot. Look at his last 5 fights. I mean, he got starched by Dustin Poirier, right? He beat Donald Cerrone, which now we know is on his way down, with shoulder strikes, for Christ's sakes. He got mauled by Khabib Nurmagomedov, and before that, he stepped into a boxing ring and got KO'd by the greatest of all time, but someone that's relatively small. The man is 7-0. I hate the fact that just because he was 7-0 in a completely different weight class, that he got to jump the line at 155 and beat a guy that stylistically he can beat, and that was Eddie Alvarez. Okay? So, I mean, so it's Gaethje if Conor wins, and it's Conor if it's Dustin if Dustin wins. What would we do about Conor's situation? Conor can fight anybody, and the pay-per-views are it will still gross higher than the title watch. But if you put Conor and the title together again, and if he wins, he can take a year off and hijack the entire division. And that's why the UFC was losing a lot of money. Because when he didn't fight, they put all their eggs in one basket, and his rising tide is supposed to lift all ships, but that's only when he's fighting, Rob. That's only when he's fighting. Show me you're going to fight 3 times a year, man, and then, put you back in there. But you can't be 1-2 and get no title shot. They didn't even give that to Masvidal. So, whose popularity rose too.
Well, I mean, I think they set a bad precedent with Michael Chandler. I think it's just for them, whatever grosses the most is what we're going to choose. But I
No, they
think
said
that's
it with
just wrong.
McGregor.
Yeah, I
McGregor
mean,
McGregor
but I'm saying,
got a title shot.
mm,
It didn't fight one fight in 155. He got to fight Eddie Alvarez. He fought Nate Diaz, remember, at 170 twice. He, without so much as setting of his big toe in a 155-pound fight, got a title shot because of what he did in the division below. And I interrupted you because you were trying to make a
no,
different
no, no,
point.
no. Yeah, I mean, it is the truth, they do that with a couple of fighters where, they'll be stars or almost stars in one division, but they got enough, like a Cody Garbrandt,
Yep.
promising him a strawweight or whatever kind of a
Yep.
fight when, he's not,
TJ.
it's not
Yeah,
his,
TJ.
that's not his size.
Right.
That's not his area. That's why he's going back up fighting Rob Font. And it's like, why is that really even happening if he's already down another division? So,
Agreed.
yeah, so I just think it's kind of the UFC trying to diversify some of their talent, but I don't think they should, man, because I think there's a lot of really good talent coming up and how they're kind of washing their older fighters out and kind of letting the other promotions take them up. And I think they're going to have some really good high level competition coming in. So,
Man,
good things coming.
I'm penciling. I'm penciling quick questions as we go. All right. So I really, really like what we talked about, but we need to highlight some of these other matches. I'm going to go one or two favorite matches, and I'll give you back the floor. Did you hear Jacare's arm?
Mm.
They did a replay just so you could hear the sound. Oh, God. And Jacare was walking around like, I'm all right. Just give me some corn, just throw some dirt on it. I'm like, that is a testament to how elite these athletes are. Sometimes it's not how hard they can hit, but what they can take. Tony Ferguson. I know he got his foot and his ankle got tore up. Didn't tap.
Right.
That was one of the things I got. I mean, I could call this podcast "You Got Heart." I mean, that's what we're gonna name episode 66. Match that stuck out for you.
I mean, honestly, in a bad way, that the Ferguson and Dariush.
It broke my heart.
It really did, because, and I saw it with Oliveira. I was like, this is not the same Tony, and he almost got his shoulder took out over there,
and he never tapped.
And he never tapped. So, I think it's just it's kind of tough in any sport to see somebody that you've liked for such a long time or somebody that you follow for such a long time, go away from their prime or have a slide or a drop. But yeah, Tony's in there. I think for a long time, his athleticism and his strange in octagon kind of fighting style kind of kept people off guard. But he doesn't really have that. This is always my issue for him, is he's never really been, like I was saying with Oliveira, he's never really been the knockout artist or the submission artist. It's always kind of happened, and he has all the skills to do it. But like Oliveira, like I was saying earlier, he's got a taste for blood, where he's going to fight for that submission or for that knockout, and he's not just fighting to prevent that guy's advance or to change the position and do something like my coach is telling me. No, like that's like maybe the second stage. The third stage is being an intuitive fighter and just using all the skills to get that finish, not just the ability to have those skills. So for Tony, I feel like he was kind of on that precipice of breaking through for such a long time and just never did. And I think, yeah, he's kind of past his prime now. He doesn't really know where he wants to succeed more now, whether it's on his feet or on the ground or doing his roll forwards or roll backwards or whatever the hell he does. I just a little bit more precision in getting the finish, I think, is his issue.
Yeah. Well, his aura of invincibility got compromised when he fought Justin Gaethje. I mean, prior to that, he's gotten rocked a bunch of times. Remember, Pettis, he did a whole bunch of backward rolls to create space, and everyone. There's so many fights where you thought he was going to get finished. Kevin Lee, him had a barn burner, and he's always not only survived, but like this incredible gas tank where people went for a finish. and probably told himself, I went for a finish, and now I'm gonna lose a decision because I don't have the gas tank to finish this guy. Look at him,
Right.
he's still running after me. Get away from me, dude. You know, it's like my claustrophobia. I see a clown, I'm gonna try to create space, and I always feel like the clown's coming after me. So, Barboza, Burgos. Burgos. That was an amazing fight. That was fight of the night.
The Phantom Punch.
Yes,
My goodness.
the
I
Invisible
mean,
Man.
how
Yeah.
many times have you seen that? But his
Never.
body said, nah, no more.
Yeah, we've seen it plenty of time
No,
with
no
body
more.
shots. Because you
Right.
get that
Right.
liver
For
thing,
sure.
and it's like remember Brock Lesnar? He got kicked,
Right.
and the second later it was like, oh,
Right.
okay.
Or even the nerve in the knee. You know, when you get that kicked and they're kind of like seeing if they can still do stuff. But yeah, I haven't really seen somebody get their equilibrium messed that much where they really were aware and alert and ready to fight, but their body just could not reverse the action of what was happening. He just kept going backwards.
Yeah, man.
Kept going backwards. But yeah, I thought it was a solid fight. I still, again, with Barboza, if you're going to kick somebody in the legs that hard, you're going to start bleeding eventually too,
And,
So if you're going
and
to kick
lo and
somebody,
behold, right? What
Right.
happened?
so it's like the same thing with, punching out. I think you can kick out as well, not physically getting tired, but, you can injure yourself. So, with how Barboza hits or kicks, he should be very, very precise in how he does it. Like if he did that type of a kick on his leg to the knee area, he could miss 4 or 5 times and still create damage. But if you keep kicking somebody in the shin, in the upper leg, like you're kind of giving yourself, a disadvantage, and you're kind of giving them the opportunity to either catch your leg or to hurt yourself,
Yep.
on trying to block the kick. So
Yeah. So on that level too, right? If you go for a finish, you're probably going to lose a decision.
Yeah, because there's perfect example is like Nate Diaz, let's say, where he does a lot of pepper punches, but when he wants to, he puts a little extra in that punch when he finds that opening. It's the same thing with the kick, like or Stephen Thompson. He doesn't put everything into every single kick. You kind of touch him, you're like, oh, I feel it's going to open up, and you really put something in that next one. If Barboza kind of diversified his strikes a little bit like that, I think it would be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, well, hell, that was fight of the night, man, dude. That was because Shane ain't no joke, man. Shane, look, let's take a look at this division as we continue to talk about it. I mean, okay, of course we got a new champ coming, but and the rankings are gonna change, but look from 1 all the way down to 10. And I bring your attention to 10, Islam Makhachev. Someone's gonna have to fight this dude. Someone who's already lost. Dan Hooker, Tony, Chandler. Someone's gonna have to fight that dude. The top 10 can't just they can't make that a good old boys club. And I say that
RDA.
carefully.
RDA.
Yeah, RDA. You want to talk about strength of schedule, Rob? I mean, if you look at that guy's lineup, his last 10 fights, I can't think of someone who I don't know. You want to give Dana a call and be like, what this guy ever did to you, man?
Well, I mean, he's very well known of taking the last second fight, stepping in and being able to be ready for stuff like that. But yeah, I think, and for a long time for me, RDA has been very good, but just again, one of those kind of like, he's so good, he just creates a good fight. But when you're talking about the top 5, I think he's right where he's at. He should be right outside the top 5, and fighting maybe a little bit more as a gatekeeper. That's where I kind of see him as. See if Islam is worth the squeeze. See if Dariush is worth the squeeze. I feel like and Tony Ferguson, I feel like he's a little high up on the rankings. That's a great gatekeeper type of mode where see if these new guys are really ready to bang with the big boys and start shoving them in the rankings a little bit.
Yeah, because right now the top 4, those are all champion worthy.
Those are all real deal.
All
yeah, but then you go down, it's like those are from 5 to 10, maybe probably 11, 12, 13.
But that's what's wrong with
interchangeable.
But those are big fights still, right? Those are still going to put butts in seats. You put Tony Ferguson against even Paul Felder, that's going to put butts in seats. Yeah, you can main event that. Islam Makhachev against any of those top 10. Daniel Cormier speaks really, really highly about him. So we'll see how that turns out. And we're going to come back at this from a different angle on Quick Question.
Sure.
Next subject matter, we're doing something I call NFL Quick Pick. And here we go. We are Rob McLean. We are going to pick a winner from each division. Let me pull it up. Pull up the just the divisions. All right. So Rob, we're going to do kind of a lightning round thing, and of course, this is going to change as the facts change. So will our opinion. Let's start with the AFC East. Who do you got? Nah, I'll go first. Buffalo.
I mean, just to make it a debate, I'll go Miami.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
West, Broncos, Kansas City, Oakland Raiders, San Diego. San Diego. Man. Ooh, LA Chargers. Shame on you. I'll pick the Chiefs. That's the easy one.
Yeah, I gotta go Chiefs. I gotta be smart on that one.
North.
Um, I like the Browns. Yeah,
I'll go Ravens.
yeah, either one of those two.
And South.
The Colts. I
Yeah,
really like the
Mr.
Colts.
Wentz, man, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's going to be tight with the
defense.
Titans. Okay. NFC least. I'll go
Yeah,
first. Cowboys.
G-Man.
G-Man. Nice. West.
I'll go with the Niners.
I'll go Niners. North. I go Packers. I gotta go Packers, man.
Yeah, I mean that's
Even if they
tough.
bring back the same team, I mean, there's some games where Aaron Rodgers isn't even the best Aaron, man. Don't forget about Aaron
Yeah,
Jones,
I
dude.
know.
Y'all must have
If he even
forgot.
plays, I'm gonna go with the Bears, just because I don't think Aaron's
Ooh.
coming back, my man.
Uh, he ain't going back to Jeopardy, I'll tell you that. South Division. Uh,
I
Saints.
mean,
I got
yeah,
I got Saints as repeat Super Bowl contenders. Maybe not champions, but I think with every single player being signed back again.
oh, you mean Bucks? Yeah,
Tampa Bay. What did I say? Did I mess up again? Yeah. With every single player, a
yeah.
starter, back in the lineup, man.
You can't deny that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
some Hall of Fame level
Dude,
GM work.
I just don't see how anyone's gonna play them any differently. That's gonna help. I mean, Rodgers was the best one, and I mean, you think about the four downs and the decisions he made third down and all that stuff. We can argue ad nauseum if it was the right or wrong call, but the defense did get the almost. Rob, to shame or not to shame? Kyrie Irving said a lot of stuff going on in this world and basketball. There's a lot of stuff going on in this world, and basketball is just not the most important thing to me right now. This happened at a media press conference when I guess that's when you're supposed to meet your media obligations. So, Rob, my question is this Kyrie's shame? Is this just usual Kyrie shame? Is this the media blowing this up because he said this at an obligated press conference? Rob, take all the time you need. The floor is yours.
Man, yeah. So I just go back to something we all learned when we were younger. Don't cry wolf. And I think that's just what Kyrie been doing. Like you can have all these conversations that you think and you believe about, in your private home, but once you're out in public, everybody can start seeing you for, I guess, let's say, for who you are. If you're weird, if you're quirky, that's fine, but people, can have their opinions about that. And so when we're talking about Kyrie, if this is the first time I heard about it, then yeah, I'd probably be like, let me see Kyrie's angle from it. But I mean, he's done so many things recently, and some of the worst being the job that's given you the opportunity to have this platform and to have all these people listening to you is a job that you will then just say, I'm sick or I don't feel good, I don't want to play. So anytime he's not doing his job, playing basketball, I can't even listen to him because, at the end of the day, you're just exploiting the league. you're just exploiting other people just to get your voice out there, and it's not really even a real issue. If he doesn't want to do, just I don't want to hear what he has to say. It's not really relevant to other people. It's just him crying and whining about himself. Yeah, I'm just over Kyrie Irving. I kind of thought he was funny and cool with the whole Uncle Drew thing in the earlier on in his career, but now I could see he's just he's living in his own world, and that's fine. But you don't have to make that everybody else's world. So
Yeah.
believe what you want to believe, Kyrie, but keep it to
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, Rob, to me, the operative word is job. All right. Out of everything you just said in your diatribe of Kyrie Irving, I get job. It is your job to play basketball, but that is not your only job. It is in your collective bargaining agreement to you're obligated to answer questions from the media. Now, how you choose to answer, you want to answer like Kyrie, then you answer like Kyrie, that's you being yourself. But at the same time, you have to get whatever blowback comes with some of these asinine answers, all right? Of course, basketball is not the most important thing to somebody and this and that. But I think for someone to say this is not their most important thing, for some people, or even himself, to make the illogical leap that what he does for a living is not important is ask a 9, ask a 10, and ask a 12. I didn't love it. I mean, he has an obligation to answer some of these questions, and it's not like he only has to answer one or the other, right? These things are not mutually exclusive. They could have been binary. He could have answered questions about the game, because that's why you have a press conference. You can answer these questions about the game, and at the same time, you could still and if you want to talk about what's going on in the Middle East, you want to talk about what's going on in Israel, Palestine, you want to talk about what's going on with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, you can do that too. But to say that this is not the most important thing and to make the illogical leap that it's not important at all that's just like you said, that's just him being him, and you are one of many people that are like so over that. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kyrie,
not too
no
twitchy.
good.
I thought we did a good job on that. All right, cool. So topic 5, we go to quick question. Quick question. Quick question, Rob. Tim Tebow to sign with the Jags. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs down. Waste of money. Come on now.
Thumbs up. Is going to be the oldest guy on the team, and he's going to teach people how to win, because even though he's not much of a quarterback, he is a winner.
So then hire him as a consulting coach.
Yeah. Yeah,
The hell is he got to be on the
mascot
freaking field for? All he's gonna do is kneel on the ground and then get not held for it like everybody else did, So
Yeah.
we're just gonna keep on letting him be him, and everything's gonna be okay.
Yep. Yeah. I could get into Colin Kaepernick, but I won't. We're gonna go to the next question. Quick question: should Ferguson fight Islam Makhachev? Should that be his next fight?
Yeah,
Why
why not?
I love that fight. Quick question. We're going to pick 2 important matches this coming up this week. Rob Font, who's a number 3 bantamweight, against Cody Garbrandt.
Right. I like. I mean, Cody's tough to pick against, but I'll take Rob Font.
I'll go Cody. I mean, it's tough because Rob Font is 3-1 his last 4 matches, and Cody Garbrandt is 1-3. But if you knock out KO Rafael Assunção, that means you're still dangerous. And
oh no, he's dangerous. But
Yeah.
the problem is, can he put a fight together? Because he was losing that fight against Assunção until he knocked him out. So he was on the cage. He was getting it's just, again, some people have to understand how to put together finishes, and some people just have that power. So
they really, really do, dude.
mhm.
Quick question. This is more down the card, I think at the end of the main card, but it shouldn't be. Number 7, Jack Hermanson against Edmund Shabazian.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Shabazian.
Me too.
I'm going to stick with it, but same thing like we were saying before. I think probably Hermanson's going to win, and I want Shabazian to win. But yeah, I'll take that pick still.
That name sounds Armenian, and I think I'm going to go with the Armenian, even though Jack the Joker Hermanson has got
been on a
some
tear.
nasty submissions. The real winner on that are the fans, or people like you and me. We get to watch that match, and thanks for the UFC for putting that together. Quick question. Which play-in team has the best chance of beating the number 1 or number 2 seed?
I mean, probably the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
If they lose that first game and they come in the 8th seed, they could beat. I think they could beat the Jazz. But
If
yeah,
they
I
come
think
in
that's
as the
probably the
seventh
best.
seed, do they beat the Suns?
Yeah, probably. I think they have a better chance beating the Suns, than they do beating the Jazz. Absolutely.
I think it's the Warriors. I think playoff Steph, not final Steph, but playoff Steph has the best chance of beating the Jazz or the Suns, or either one of those teams, 4 out of 7 times.
Just
Really,
don't think the Golden State
pending
has
LeBron's
enough.
conditioning. I mean, these guys are coming in. The Lakers are coming in beat up, and I
Right.
mean,
That's what I mean.
those 1 or 2 seats are really going to expose them if there's any kind of weakness. So yep,
But hey, a
yep.
Phoenix versus Golden State first round. Oh my goodness, that's just fireworks.
Break. Oh my God, bugger off.
Oof. Oof.
Oh, quick question: who is the most important player on the Nets right now?
Oh, I mean James Harden for sure. But I think it should be known that honestly, I think, and I hate saying it, but Kyrie's probably the most important because he's got his head so far up his butt. He's not even really playing. Like some days he's got 45 points, 10 assists, and 3 rebounds, 5 steals. And other games he's got 10 points with 2 assists and 2 rebounds. It's like they're all very integral because the reason why they're paying him so much money is because he means that much. So I think, yes, it is James Harden. It is Kevin Durant. They're the most important pieces, but sometimes that's not the most important. Sometimes it's that third wheel, that Chris Bosh to come in and hit that 45 points for them to really win that game, or that Ray Allen to come through at the last minute to hit that 3. So, yeah.
It's really Rob. It's really a trick question for quick question because all 3 of them are equally as important,
Right.
and it seems like there's no championship ring even on the horizon without all 3 of them there. So with that being said, gun to my head, got to pick one. I go Harden. I mean, he's in this situation with strong, like-minded personalities where he doesn't have to be the strongest personality, doesn't have to be the leader. So I go Harden.
I got to say this though, it's so interesting that when you got all 3 of them on the court, even if they're not on the court, if all 3 of them are playing in the game together, it's so interesting how clear a championship team, like definitively championship team they are. But
like a
as
clinic,
soon as
dude.
one of them leaves the court or one of them's not playing that game, you're like, okay, I see the chink in the armor, So I think it's just they have to all 3 be playing in each and every game to win that championship. That's just what it's got to be.
Big up to Steve Nash on the coaching staff too. I mean, he preaches that kind of
Seamless.
that kind of team ball, and
Right.
and they're playing very much like it. That's like Steve Nash 2.0 for Christ's sakes.
Right.
Quick question: who is the better Hall of Fame class? And I'm going to give you two choices: Kobe, Garnett, and Duncan, or Jordan, Robinson, and Stockton. Big up to First Take. I stole this from them.
I mean, that's not even close, to be honest. Kobe, Garnett, and Duncan is like, I mean, Garnett, you have to understand, was underutilized. David Robinson was overutilized. You know what I mean? So are we talking about just skill level? I mean, I think talent level, maybe not on what they accomplished, but I think it's far and beyond Tim Duncan, Garnett, and Kobe Bryant. Like, not even close.
I'm old school Robin. As much as this pains me to say this, I always usually go older than younger on this, but I got to go with Kobe, Garnett, and Duncan. I'm with you on that one. Otherwise, I'm just going to turn in my basketball card. I can't. I mean,
if you
I'm
put
not seeing
Shaq in
straight.
there, it would at least even it up.
Right.
Come on now. That's not even fair. I mean, you putting Jordan with those guys? Come on.
Quick question. We're going to revisit this question next week because they're going to be in the middle of their playoffs. But will the Knicks win their first round against the Hawks?
Yeah, I really think so. I think that's a fantastic draw. Even though the Hawks are getting healthy, I think so. Great team basketball.
I think Tom Thibodeau's going to have a field day with this one. I think they win 4-1. I picked the Knicks, and I'm surprising. I'm pleasantly surprised that I'm picking that.
I finally saw them on live TV yesterday.
You did?
Let's go.
Yes, dude.
Last game of the season.
Yeah, man. I was supposed to see the Knicks and Lakers, but because I had the wrong cable package, I don't have Spectrum. I had Frontier. The game got blacked out on TNT, which is shame on them because that's a national channel. National channel shouldn't black out stuff.
Never.
Like ESPN doesn't black out any games.
Even
ESPN.
if you got to pay, just pay that
Yeah.
extra money. You should never black out a
No.
nationally televised game. That's just
No, and I'm a
horrible.
Knicks.
And I
I mean,
get,
I'm a New York fan that moved to LA. It's a game I wanted to see. You know.
yeah, that's just terrible.
Yeah, it
But
is. Quick question: is Brad Stevens' job in trouble? Celtics.
glad we got to this. It might not be as quick of an answer as possible, but I really don't think so. And I had a different tune on this earlier, but what you have to look at, and it's not even in the pandemic, for the last like 4 years, they've had horrible, and I mean horrible deals with injuries, whether it's been Isaiah Thomas, whether it's been, getting Tatum back or Jason, what's his name? Jaylen Brown. He's been injured, 2 or 3 times in his stint here. Who else do you got? Kemba Walker has been injured for how long? I mean, I don't really think it's either the way they practice is wrong. They're either practicing too hard. Their recovery routine is wrong. Their strength and conditioning routine is wrong. But something's not going right there in the PT, the physical therapy aspect of playing, because those guys should not be getting injured that much. There's too many injuries that are happening there year after year after year. And you can't keep saying that it's not Brad Stevens' fault. Maybe it is the way they practice.
You're the head coach. It's got to fall on that sword.
Yeah, some of it's going to fall on you. But at the end of the day, that is the consistent issue, is the injuries. That has to be changed. It can't be the reason why the reason why they're losing is his playing style. No, the reason why they're one of the most unique offensive teams in the league that's hard to play against, that teams give them the respect, is because of the style of play they have, because it's so team ball, because you don't know who's going to beat you. But then Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown can beat you with 35 each game.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I really think that the Celtics are a very smart franchise organization, and they should just realize that they need to really key in on their players and the health of their players to make sure they have all their guys ready to go, and they will be able to absolutely maximize their talent around their roster. But it is not about Brad Stevens. It really is not. Maybe he needs to get them more accountable. Maybe he needs to make them play a little tougher defense, but that's a different issue.
Yep. For me, I'll go a little bit shorter than you. I say no, his job's not in trouble. They do need to evaluate the nutritionists and strength and conditioning coaches and see if we can get some of these guys to avoid some of these injuries. I mean, some injuries happen, and there's no, as elite athletes, you're an elite athlete. Nobody goes into a tournament, nobody goes into a game or a series 100% healthy. That animal doesn't exist. It's so rare. Quick question: do you like? They're still working out the contract, but do you like? Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis as a next heavyweight match?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You got to make that mistake right, or else you ain't a champion.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they did that before John Jones or a Miocic, replay, because I think that's really, really important to solidify himself. And I'm really glad that's happening.
Me too, because they have a lot to making up to do for the last time they fought. They were
for the fans.
27 total strikes that last match. Got booed off of the planet.
Hey, it might not even get more than 27 strikes this time, but it better not go past that second round.
That's a fail to both of them, because that's what they do. That's what they do. And I mean, John Jones, we could thank for that, because Derek Lewis already gave him his number. He told his agent the number that he wants to fight, and don't come back to me unless you get that number. But I think it was like $8 million. But and the UFC is happy with that number because the heavyweight division's back, and they know they're gonna get that nut off on the pay-per-view on the other end, because Ngannou's a champion that they can market. It's a champion they've always wanted. And if it was Stipe Miocic against Derek, they tell Derek Lewis to take that number and go kick rocks. But listen, they can do that. And Derek Lewis isn't asking for a winner's bonus at these title matches. $8 million to show. And now you ain't got to worry about that. You get in there and you just throw bolos,
Yeah.
But John Jones we knew, didn't we say this a couple of months ago? Like, John Jones is going to come up with a number that Danny's not going to agree with, and Danny's going to go to the media and say, well, if he doesn't want to fight, plant that seed in the fans' head. Oh, he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight. And I think John Jones does want to fight, but there's a part of me that's like, I don't know. Let's wait for Lewis and Ngannou. At least Lewis I could take down, whatever. I'm not trying to say Jones is afraid because he's not afraid of anybody, but we know in his heart of hearts he'd rather solidify his GOAT legacy by beating Lewis. Be
True.
real.
It's true.
Oh my
It's
God. Hey,
true.
all right, that's the end of the quick question. But before we go, and Rob, I know I could talk about this all day, but I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible. Before we go, on my social media platforms, I expressed my objection and some contempt about who they voted for NCAA beach volleyball coach of the year. Andrew Fuller, who's the head coach of Stanford, who did some really wonderful work and built this program to kind of what it was, to somehow, some way get in the NCAA tournament. I personally didn't see that coming, but I will admit I didn't follow Stanford as much as I followed this LSU, Florida State, TCU, Cal Poly, this and that. So it was already weird for me to see them in the NCAAs, and it was even weirder to see them ranked ahead of TCU and Cal Poly, though they did beat Cal Poly head-to-head early in the season. So my objection came because I felt John Mayer, who was the head coach at LMU, was more deserving than Andrew Fuller was. And I want to be crystal clear for the people listening. And Rob, I know everyone thinks I never let Rob talk, but honestly, this guy on my left, if I let him talk, y'all really going to be mad, okay? So y'all better just stick with me because y'all not in this league for what this man would have to say about that. All right? Just because I think John was more deserving does not mean I am being disrespectful to Andrew Fuller. All right? We are adults. When we're kids and someone gets elected prom queen that you disagree with, it is instinctive in our kid nature to be mad at the prom queen. When you shouldn't have been mad at the prom queen, you'd be mad at the people that voted her in. She didn't ask for it, she took it. All right? So now that we're all grown up and now that we've all evolved from being mad at the prom queen, I was not doing that. I am not doing that. I am upset at whoever decided, the voters that decided that man was a more worthy coach of the year than John Mayer. John Mayer's won 31 games, 31-8 this season, okay? Had to beat Pepperdine twice to win the WCCs. Their school is not known for getting great players. They are known for good players transferring out, right? They lost Sarah Sponser. They lost Bo Kulo to USC, who, by the way, is not even on the pair five, not even on the five pairs. So this man has one or two decent players. The rest of them you've never even heard of unless you follow LMU as closely as I do. He wins the WCCs. They beat LSU and UCLA the same day. They finish in a semifinal. So if you take the body of work, Rob, and you could come in or you could just leave this alone like you usually do, because I know this subject, especially in your wheelhouse, sometimes it's comfortable, sometimes it's not, and I get that. But if someone gave me a criteria, I would say the talent that's given to you, the amount of time it takes you to develop this talent into something that's contender worthy, the amount of time that it takes you to do that, and if you have another coach that did the same thing, worst case worst, panic, the panic button or the bottom line, head to head, which LMU has beaten Stanford head to head. He's got more wins, 31 wins to 23. He got ranked. He started the NCAA higher. Stanford got invited to the NCAA too. He beat everybody that was seated in front of him until they ran to the USC. Stanford was 2 and done. And if all is said and done, how did they do against each other? LMU won. This man is coach of the year. And Andrew Fuller, as much as I respect the guy, I don't even know if I like him that much, because I had one conversation and Fuller was kind of Fuller, of himself. But take that away, no, man. I ain't messing with nobody that's putting in straight work. Zalani Hodel, who's their pair one, to me was already a baller before she got to Stanford. But man, her game looks nice. Her skill set looks tighter. So I know this man's doing work. So I'm not casting any aspersions on him, even though I took like a little personal shot or whatever. But sorry, man. So for the people who have a problem with me not letting it go, today's the day I'm gonna let it go, and I'm just gonna finish with that, and that's my case why I think John Mayer's coach of the year. Yep.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with anything. I don't really know any of those guys personally. I was even surprised, maybe that John or Todd Rogers didn't win it, or Dane. didn't win it. And then I say those names though, and you kind of think around the league, past beach players that are now coaching. Maybe this is the year they kind of give it to some guys who've been there before for a long time and haven't really won it. And like you said, could very well be deserving if you look past maybe the coach who was first year coach who won, the championship this year. Or, like you said, a guy who John Mayer, who really doesn't have a lot of names, who had a really great record this year, won their conference, came in and beat a lot of great teams, great talent with a lot of no names. Those characteristics seem very offsetting to me when you're talking about who should win coach of the year. But again, I'm not in that that realm of knowing who should and who should not get it. I'm in beach volleyball, but maybe not college beach volleyball
on the pro
as in
scene.
depth. So I can't say definitively, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me when you just talk about statistics and numbers and whatnot. So maybe it's the wrong one this year, but ups to Fuller for getting it, and hopefully he can prove next year that he deserves second coach of the year in a row.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, yeah, just because I think they got it wrong doesn't mean I don't think the guy's a good coach. I mean, right? I mean, it's playing in the pack is not easy, right? Playing in the pack, it's been a 2-horse race, and how the hell do you get out of that 2-horse race, right? Like LMU only had really one team to beat. I mean, for years the WCC playoffs was like the Pepperdine Invitational. So, so to win that conference, and Todd Rogers, it's always going to be them in Hawaii and Long Beach State. Coach Mike Campbell's always got those girls ready to go, and some years, they look mad serious too. So, here's the hoping Fuller has a better year next year. Here's the hoping John Mayer has a better year next year, and here's to hoping that they get around to making those conferences that they are in automatic bids. Todd did get a Big West Coach of the Year for his conference, so Dane is deserving of Coach of the Year as well, because there's something to be said about pressure of win or bust, right? Like if you don't win the whole thing with the talent you have, you fail. Am I a good mechanic in a room full of Ferraris? I'm so glad Dane won, because I wanted to give Dane the crown so bad, but I wasn't giving Dane nothing. Just when he didn't even so much as like a year ago didn't so much as set foot on the sand as a head coach. Was he an assistant coach? Yeah. Was he responsible for helping Dan and Okoye win a couple of titles? Yes, but assistant coaches don't get credited with losses, do they? So now he's there, standing tall, front row, with those dubs, with those hot L's, and won a championship. Big up to Dane, man. Big up to Dane. I'm gonna talk to you about some of your players, Dane, that are coming in. Come see me. Rob, is there anything? God damn it! Concentrate. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people all over the world, not just the United States? We got a following in Australia, man. We got some English speaking countries, Ghana.
Hey man, stay happy, stay healthy, play some beach volleyball, get out in the sun, all those good stuff.
Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear that? Isn't he awesome? And Rob loves you guys. He really, really does. Look, some of his players call him grouchy, but listen, they're all thanking him when they get those scholarships. But me, nah, I ain't got no love today. Rob might love you, but I can't stand you. Okay, so for all of you at home, I'm out of here. For all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad, for all of you on your desktop who runs the world, old school. For Rob, keep it McLean. I'm Jason DeBillius, man. This is episode Route 66. Dude, great episode. We're out. And play. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.